Welcome to the Geotalks today. So this year is 2022 and the university is celebrating the centenary, and the School of Geosciences has decided to celebrate our heritage and our alumni. And today we have another guest, that is David Mosuwe, that is here with us, and he's also a graduate from Wits, as in done his bachelor at Wits and the honors degrees at Wits. And I'm glad to see many students from among the audience, and especially many honors students, because here you can have an example of a person that eventually after Wits had a career, and he started his career in the industry in Anglo-American. He has more than 30 years of experience in industry of mining and exploration. He is at the moment leading a consulting company, but he has experience not only in South Africa, but also in Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Angola, all the Southern African continent. And is gold, or let's see, gold, base metal, manganese, magnetite, dimension stone, coal and gas, vanadium, andesite, limestone, and you name it. So if you have any question, please go ahead. This is the man for you. And I thank everybody, and I welcome David for the talk.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, hi, Sue. It's good to be here. It's good to be back here. I was just saying to Jill now that, you know, this place, lots of memories. We had some very good times here. So, and there she comes. All right, so I was asked to come and talk about my time in the industry, starting with, you know, being a Wits graduate. I know some of you sitting here underestimate your time and the qualification that you will come out here with. And believe you me when I say that being a Wits graduate carries a whole lot of power. Not just influence, you know, but power. So you're not in a wrong place. Okay, so that up there is my company, consulting company. We are now 7 years old this year. This is a picture that we took at one of our site visits. Okay, we are not moving. Okay. All right, this here is my rep, a brief one. You can see that's my vet stint there between 2000 and 2004, many years ago. Many years ago. So I know when you look at me, you might have thought, oh, what a youngster. No. So I started. My story for me is an interesting one. You know, I started fresh out of school. I actually ran away from home. After matric, I said, you know what, I can't be in this place anymore. I ran from Pretoria all the way to the Free State. And I started just with matric. And back then, which is a big difference between then and now, back then companies were looking for matriculants. They were recruiting, you know, at that level. So I came in just with matric and became an assistant, a field officer, you know, where they need things done and they don't want to do those things themselves, they send me. So I was that guy, but I was very good at it. And I did it very proudly because I knew where that could lead. And when we came here, in fact, I moved from Welcome to Carltonville to prospecting. And at the time, no one in my level was allowed to make that particular move. So that should tell you a story already. When I got to Anglo-American Prospecting Services, my first assignment was, here's a bikie, here are the keys, here's a package of samples. We need you to go and deliver this in Botswana. I'd never been out of South Africa. Just for me to get from Gauteng to the Free State was an excursion. And now I had to drive all the way to Botswana. But then that opened a whole lot more. And my boss one day says to me, David, what's your story, man? I said, boss man, so what's your story? Because everything you touch tends to gold, but you don't have a qualification. What's your story? So I related my story, and he said, so what can we do for you? I said, boss man, I'm doing second year with UJ here doing BCom because you couldn't do geology part-time back then. So that's now my future. And he says, what would you say if the company gave you a bursary to go study geology? I said, no, boss man, I think it's too late for that. And he said, no, look, take a week, think about it, and come back. By day 4, he met me in the passage and said, so? I said, well, I had not decided, but then great, I think I'll give this a shot. And he said, okay, come see me. When I got to his office, to my amazement, I got to his office, he had already filled out an application form. All I had to do was attach a signature. My ID, my everything was on that paper. I said, wow, does this man believe in me so much? And he says to me, take this to the training manager. I drove around to go to the training manager, said, this is my form. He said, yeah, what do you want to do? I said, well, geology, degree, varsity. And he says, okay, tell me about your history. Maths, science. I said, well, maths, standard grade at the time, something close to maths literacy, by today's standards. And your science, oh no, boss, I didn't do science. I did geography and biology. And how's your maths? How's your, I said, well, I was that kind of student, Lecturers had to think hard to say, how do we get this guy from 49 to 50 just so he could straight through? And then the training manager says to me, look, save yourself the embarrassment, because if you do go out, 1, you're going to fail. 2, your job is not guaranteed as soon as you walk out of here. I said, man, this man doesn't know me. I live to prove people like you wrong. And I came to Wits. They said, math, science. I said, I didn't do science. They said, well, we're going to have to take you through an assessment. I said through assessments, and they threw these equations and chemical things at me, and I was so lost. But hey, an answer came, say you are in. Great, good shot. And I met Jill. We went through College of Science at the time, and the rest is history. Oh, and one thing, they said, okay, choice of subject. I said, you know what? How about I take science as a major? And the rest is history. 4 years later, I came out with an honors and went back to work. Man, when I got there, the training manager had left the company. And he's the one I wanted to have my first chat with, but then it didn't happen. So I got there. They have a training program that they put graduates through. It takes about 5-6 years. I did that in 6 months. And in the 3 years, from 2004 to 2006, I was promoted 3 times. My salary grew by 300% because now I was a first graduate. I promise you, that made all the difference. That changed my life because now people started, okay, I had an aura that I didn't know I had, but people look at me, okay, but then there's a guy who came to Wits, I think earlier than me. I met this guy out in the street, happened to be my homeboy, and how he introduced himself when he talked to people, even strangers, he would say, hi, this is Booty from Wits. To meet you in a grocery shop, in Edgar's, hi, I'm Booty from Wits. I'm not like that. I'm not like that, But people saw this in me. People saw this, that, man, there is so much that potential that this guy had. And, when I went out of Anglo, I was a technical assistant, which is basically a, second in charge to the department manager. But obviously now they give you projects to do all the other good stuff that you now head office, people start recognizing you and calling you to meetings. You get there, say, okay, what am I doing here? So, and then I left Enlo. There was a position, and there were two guys up for this position, me and some other guy, and they gave this guy this position, and then I got angry and left. And then I went to Sasol Mining. When I got there, they made me a head of department. So it must be being a first graduate. And then, but then I didn't, last too long. I had to come back home, and then I joined SRK Consulting. That also really opened doors for me. That taught me how to be practical in terms of, taking the qualification and now putting, I went on to do projects, intercontinental projects. So here I really learned how to do real geology stuff. And that was quite exciting. It was quite exciting. I came back to Wits, did a GDE, and then joined Link Energy, which was an Australian company. I think this was from Prof. Coffin, who said, a student that is not in class during class, they are probably in a class of their own. That will probably talk to the latecomers. So and then I joined this company, Australian company. That was quite exciting. They were looking at underground coal gasification at the time. There was one other project in SA in the Free State that was looking at the same, but we were cutting edge. Just a pity that Australian government shut that company down. We are supposed to look at how not to mine coal, but to just burn it underground and draw gas out, and then you compress and process this gas and still, run that through your turbines for electricity generation. So that was quite exciting. From then on, in 2015, they shut down, and then I decided, no, I'm not giving anyone my CV anymore. I'm enough. From here, I was able to at least stand on my own. How we work is, we partner with people like me who are mining engineers, some, geohydrologists, environmentalists, and we come together on projects. We divide projects into, everyone gets their bit. At the end of the project, you share whatever, and everyone goes their own way until the next project and the next project. From project to project, you become a project manager or a lead, depending on who brought in the project and stuff like that. And also, I suppose because of the relationship, or again, being that aura, I was asked to come and do, be a visiting lecturer for some honor students. And I suppose after the COVID, things changed, and the current honors class, you guys are so unfortunate for not having me, there. But anyway, that was that. And these have been passing, those are the commodities now as a consultant that we specialize in projects that I worked on internationally and conferences that I went to go present either about geology stuff or mining or consultancy stuff. And that has been really a good journey for me. These are what we do as a consulting company, our services. And again, we at some point came across a guy who was a geologist from University of Hodhe. This guy was asked to draw a section of some underground workings. You should have seen what this guy did. You couldn't tell head or tail from what he's got. It was like he was drawing an animal. And he was a graduate, but then again, Wits to the rescue. Wits to the rescue. When I presented my sketch, it was, we need you here. And that was really the stuff that got me through the mail and through the promotions. So as a consulting company, that is really what we render. But enough about me. Now let's talk about you, what you're getting into, and what is expected of you out there, and what you would be able to get to. I'm sure you recognize that phrase. Eh? Some people believe that that drives you to the edge. But it gives you that edge. That really gives you that edge. Out there, you just need to say, I'm a graduate from Wits. Already that talks a lot about you. Already that talks a lot because it comes with an expectation. You cannot say I'm a Wits graduate and deliver Mickey Mouse stuff. People already expect you to perform at a level that has been set by your predecessors, like me, for instance. So very high expectations, but being a Wits graduate, we meet these every single time. So the industry really gives you an opportunity to develop yourself. Not everyone gets the opportunity, but being a Wits graduate, people believe that you deserve that opportunity. You get there and you perform. You perform as we do. The rewards are high. As you saw with me, I was fortunate enough to progress. And this was very funny because where I used to work, they would, when they promote you, they call the whole meeting like this. Heads of departments and everyone in the department, in the staff, they sit you there and they hand you an envelope that is your appointment and the new role, you know, and your contract, and they shake hands. And this was happening every 6 months. And people are saying, please, where do you go? Being an African, there must be certain things that you are doing. There must be certain things that you are doing to make you really perform like this. But guys, the difference was I was a Wits graduate. I got so, you know, enough of saying it. People were just seeing that and rewarding. So the rewards are high. Every successful mining operation out there has got a geology graduate or a Wits graduate, either mining engineer or whatever, at the head. Every one of them. And that's where you guys are going. So the expectation is high. The expectation is high. I'm going to be tracking most of you. Should I hear any, it will be you and me, because, you know, we can't let you come and do Mickey Mouse stuff and take this reputation that men and women worked so hard to establish. And there it is, you know, 2018, most employable South African graduates, Wits University. Maybe you're not aware of it, I don't know, it was in the Mail and Guardian back then. So it is really the edge. Wits gives you the edge. What are the expectations really from you? Discipline. Discipline. I know students are very low when it comes to discipline, but that only matters and counts as long as you're a student. As soon as you get out of here, it is expected that you are at that level. But believe you me, once you get out there and you begin to interact with people from other institutions, you will see the difference that coming through Wits would have given you. Personal management that is expected of you, to know how to carry yourself. The drinking sprees, the, you know, going out and jolling, and that ends, you know, here. You get out there, you're expected to, at your age, you know. One thing that is really, really important that you know when you go out into the industry is the value of networking. The value of establishing relationships. There are some people who are introverts, you know, the type of people where as soon as they walk into a room full of people, they look for that chair right at the back, a corner where no one can bother them. No, not for Wits graduates. Wits graduates like these guys who work late but wanted to sit in front. That is the attitude of a Wits graduate. You need to be there and really take advantage of, you know, and it begins here. People that are your classmates. Some of my classmates work in the Council of Geoscience. All I need to do is pick up a call and, hi, classmate. And the rest is history, you know. Work ethics, high work ethics. And it begins really when you're still a student. And it doesn't stop. When you're out there, you're expected to continue that high work ethic. Everything giving in on time, meeting deadlines. I know that is not a phrase that students know very well. Meeting deadlines, but that is key. That high work ethic, you know, you don't do an 8 to 4 being a Wits graduate. You are the first to get there, the last one to leave. And you hand in your work before everybody else does. So that when your boss goes on leave, you are the automatic choice to fill their shoes, their office. And back at the mines, it was quite funny because when you come in and act in somebody's position, you could be out there in the parking lot, you park maybe like that, you are 3 bays from the boss. When the boss goes on leave, you move out of your parking, you know. It matters. It matters. People must see you. That's how it is. Work ethic, you know that I'm in here and I'm gonna deliver. And if it means taking parking, by all means. Teachable attitude. For a Wits graduate, that comes automatic. You know, being able to learn the ropes as quick as possible. And once you are there for sure. There's one thing that usually graduates, especially science students, don't do well is personnel management. They do well in all of these things except this. Wits graduates just want to do geology. They just want to do rocks. It's fine. It's the core of who you are. But sometimes they do so bad in relational issues. It's good to deal with rocks. We are experts when it comes to that, but we do very, very poorly with other human beings. Am I right? Yeah. So those who are able to learn that, you know, you're not only going to deal with rocks, but somewhere along the line, you're going to be a manager. You're going to manage people. And people are not rocks. You know, you hit, they hit back. You speak to them funny, sarcastic, you will get a response. So we begin to really consider all these personnel and human management issues. But once you are able to get that right, then the sky is the limit. I was able to escape that though, because I don't think I would have done so well with human beings. I love rocks. I love rocks. They don't talk back. I pick up a rock and it tells me a story in its quiet, the most quiet as it can be. But then we get to share, you know, personal stuff. But then if you fancy going through the management line, you gotta have to manage that and be good also at it. Ambition and passion, that is key. There is nothing that drives me up a wall like a person who has no passion for what they should have passion for. Rocks, for example. Ambition. You gotta be able to wanna be hungry to get there. You know, we were with a group of students here. As you go through your training at Wits, when you get back, you don't go into the normal line of production. They give you projects to do while you are a student. And we were able to come up with some, you know, techniques and ways, different ways of doing things. We were really thinking, you know, future. I know one of us came to, you know, the old geologists when they need to take photos of core, they would, you know, stand and watch that their shade is not on the, you know, because the reflection of everything matters, the angle of your camera, and eventually take that picture. But this guy was able to come up with a frame. He constructed a frame, made sure that you need certain type of, he even wrote the procedure of taking a perfect photograph of core. As basic as that sounds, believe you me, you should look at some of the photos that even our lecturers take. No, not this one. Not from that. Not from the hair type of, you know, lecturers. But then there is a technique, there is what works and what doesn't work. So you have to be able to show that you are hungry. You are hungry, you are given a task, you excel at it. Average is not good enough. Average is not good enough. Passion is really everything.
Click on the slide.
All right. Well, this is how passionate we were back then. We break for no one. I'm not sure what kind of t-shirts you guys have lately. Do you even have t-shirts? Oh, okay. What do they say? What do they say? I'm a best graduate. What do they say? Okay, maybe that's for geophysics. For geology, what do they say? Rockstar. I'm sure you can do better than this. It can be 2002, we break for no one. And we still keep on going even today. We keep on going even today. So that is really that. And these are now just, you know, some pictures of what we do. What's funny? What's funny? My check.
So,
No, guys, that is a tool of trade. Out there, you need that. And that actually I took before. There's a story there. But then I will tell you about that now. And that is limestone up in Limpopo, somewhere next to Zibidiela. That is a magnetite up in Beggarsford. That was a bit of Andalusite, and that was in Zim doing some penning there on lithium. This was up in Mpumalanga. This was up in Pilgrim's Rest. Some dimension stoning there, that's on the chrome. This was in Zim, and of course, Jesus is King. Okay, down here, I was digging a toilet here. I was up in an area where I needed that. So that was my weapon should anything spring up on me, because I needed to do some number two. So I was digging, and being the geologist that I am, I had to put a cap on it. You know, some piece of limestone there. So that is really my story in a nutshell. I'm not sure if there are any questions.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. We're not that tall anyway. Well, being an entrepreneur, there's always something that will take you there. And the biggest one is, you know, between the 25th and the 2nd of the month. You know, when you have to go knock on clients to say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, my invoice, please. You know, so the challenge is really just, you know, funds and money. There's always a lot to do. There's always work out there, and also collaborations. There are many of us out there that are not able to get big projects because they're thinking in silos. Again, those networks, you know, they can be challenging, but then it works when you get the formula right. I'm not taking CVs at the moment. No, sorry. You know, because of COVID, you know, things have streamlined quite a bit, but things are beginning to open up. And also, I think the whole government push to have people, big companies to invest more into exploration and expansion. Now that will be what is going on in the industry, there'll be a lot more opportunities. What we do, because it's project to project, you know, the best we can offer is contract employment, not long-term, because you want to lower your overheads. But then opportunities do come up every now and then. But obviously, we can only deal with the best. If you're on an average, sorry. Any other question?
We have a question actually from the on Zoom from Reese. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question, Reese? Okay, I read it.
Is this Reese van Buren? That's a classmate.
So he said, hi, David, great
Hi,
talk.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead.
Thank you for your talk. Good to see you again, fellow.
Reese, your reception is not the greatest. We can't make much of what you're saying.
Sorry, I think there's a bit of a delay. Good to see you again, David.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead. Oh.
So maybe I reach so.
Try one.
1 second. We wait a second. Maybe.
Anyway, well, the question here says, have you ever had a moment when you thought you entered into the incorrect discipline for you? No, not at all.
The question I posted for you.
Which is good. So you,
Yeah.
and how did you persevere through this time? How did you manage to keep your passion through this?
Yeah, I think the answer to your other question, Reese, is no, I've never had regrets. I'm still as passionate and I'm looking forward to every challenge. You know, I love rocks, I love being out there. No regrets at all on that one. How did I persevere through this time? You keep going. Remember, Reese, you were part of the journey. We stop for no one. We break for no one. We keep on going. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, I think, oh, there is another question. Other last two questions. Please go ahead.
When you were in company, would you say the experience in the mining sector was massive? And would you say it played an important role, or it was the marketing?
Whether it was the time in the industry or marketing as a consultant
Networking,
or networking. Mhm.
towards the person in the company, or the experience of both of those that are
Okay, no, it was both. It was both. They all came to build, you know, the person that I am. You need both.
We go to Scott, please.
So as a staff member, this is kind of a loaded question, but can you speak a bit more about great rewards, but also great expectations for Wits graduates and you know, that they should be trying hard in their undergrad courses and in the workplace, really trying to impress people and do great work and yeah.
Yeah, I like how you phrase it, trying to impress people. You have to impress. Unfortunately, you know, the attitude of sitting in a corner and hoping, you know, that people will notice you, not at all. What I learned much earlier in my mining career was one senior of mine said, you have to be able to sell yourself. You have to make sure that people notice you. You know, not by making noise, but by delivering on time and taking, you know, advantage of the opportunities that you get. Whether no opportunities, you create opportunities. You make sure that people have your reports on the desk. People know that for this one, David is the one to call on. You know, be reliable. Make sure that you deliver all on time. And it doesn't start when you get out there. It starts now. It starts now, you know, as a student, because you have to cultivate that attitude. So don't take this time lightly. Build yourself.
Okay, we have the last question for today.
So, having obtained the knowledge in the field of consulting, how would you, if given the hypothetically, if you were to study again, how would you go about it? If you were to study again, how would you go?
Start again as a student of my working career or the consulting company. It comes back to networking, network more. And, you know, the power of that is you don't only look for big opportunities that reward you as an individual bigger than everybody else. But one thing that has been a negative for me is the inability to land other projects, bigger projects, because of people being, you know, living in silos, operating in silos, being small-minded. So a power of networking, I think for me, that would be what I would have leveraged more on.
Okay, thanks everybody. I thank very much for David. It's been brilliant. Thank you very much for your insight. That was very useful. I thank see because it's always supporting our drinks. And I thank the audience for being here today. And now please, all these pieces of advice, you have to put it in practice. This is the time for you to network and eventually come and meet and introduce yourself to David, so to impress. And thank you very much. And we see you next week, Thursday. Thank you.